So, welcome to a commentary on the Yogasutra that points you back to your true self, and that is especially for all those people that want to remember themselves on that level, and also actually remember the original intention of many of these beautiful paths and philosophies that came out of the Vedas that were about true wisdom, and which is the wisdom of your self as consciousness, as the divine, as as limitless, as God, whatever you want to name that. And this sutra is number 213, and it's the second sutra that talks about karma. Um, and it's important to remember that who has karma is um, the identified mind, the relative self, the one that doesn't yet know what it is. That's the one that accumulates karma. And why is that? Is because of the actions done uh, from mostly a conditioned set of programs that is based on seeing this continuous separation and perceiving yourself as this mind body, and with all its possessions and all its what's important to it and what's then less important to it. And from these arise actions that are usually based on these afflictions. It says in the Yoga Sutra, afflictions are what arises substantially from ignorance, from not knowing yourself, from avidya. And so the egotism, what you like, what you dislike, the desires of the separate self, the aversions of the separate self, the fears, all of it, what arises, creates karma. And this karma then shows up, some of it more slowly, some of it in this life, and some of it over lifetimes. And in this sutra, in this specific Sutra 213, he talks about the three factors how karma shows up in your life. And the first one is through your birth, where you have been born, in what kind of family you are born. Now, it often, obviously, completely bypasses the human mind or what the mind can understand, because it isn't just the factors that you now have in your mind, why you were born, where you were born, or what kind of parents you had, and things like that. It is just the whole trajectory also coming out from you as consciousness for your distinct learning, understanding, and dharma, your function also for consciousness. So this birthplace, your childhood, what was great, what wasn't great, what you have learned from it, what it pointed you towards, is all part and parcel of karma. Actions that were on some level done, but also how it then actually catalyzes and catapults your distinct journey. Now, yoga philosophy, again, yoga originally was pointing that this life, all of it, all what you can experience, is meant for two things. He also states this later. One is enjoyment, experience. You want to experience. There are distinct things you want to experience. And some of it actually also, if you think about it, are catalyzed by your birth, by what you experienced, good and bad. Maybe you want the opposite to create in your life what you experienced. Maybe you want to create the same thing. So see the totality of this. But it's not just for the experience, this life, but also apavargam, to liberate yourself from it. At some point to see the endlessness of experiences, the endlessness of projecting a happiness into the future. If only I had this, if this is finally the case, if this is finally not anymore the case, then I will be happy. To come to know this is so essential for realizing the self. Just this deep wisdom. I will not find happiness, lasting happiness in objects. And so birth is such an essential part of your karma. Some people are even born already in yogic traditions, in yoga traditions. Some are born into families of yoga, into families that are practicing some form of spirituality, into some philosophical families, into some very religious families, into some families where spirituality is already a part, or the opposite, families that have completely forgotten what they are, that have no access to spirituality whatsoever. And then your path to finding that again is also part and parcel of your karma, part and parcel of your gamut of knowledge, in a way, your gamut of experience that also does something for the ways how you show up. So birth is essential. And also you also remember, no matter where you are born, what kind of privileges you already have, you can also lose them, or you can be distracted, or you can forget, or you get catalysts. So this is a part of the karma, is your birth. And it's also such a good way to see it this way, no matter if positive or negative, is to see this is coming out of myself, my vaster self, for my own learning. I have generated these so-called others to learn from it, and to generate exactly this for this life's trajectory, for this life's understanding and unfolding. And then the second thing he mentions is the quality of your life. That is also karma. How good or bad your life is, the quality of your life. Now, the quality of your life also depends on your mind. Well, how content are you with what is present? Or does it always have to be something else? So the quality of life is such a nice depiction because it also refers to your own contentment and your own interpretation of what is quality of life. But in general, the quality of your life. And again, those people that are meant to realize the self, where this is actually really a part of their karma, you could say, a part of their dharma, a part of their function of being here. Usually, life will not be so easy because of fundamentally, if all things just flow, you don't necessarily question the nature of your existence. You don't necessarily come to that point, which is some form of internal death, actually, to realize the self. Then also there's either a complete fatigue with experiences, or those experiences catapult you to some form of very catalytic moment in which you you recognize what you are. And there also needs to be this detachment from the mind. This is also happening usually because something is fundamentally shifted through experience. So, quality of life is your karma. But again, and that's such a nice thing also to remember, what is good? What is bad? Does it not all perpetuate your awakening? This what is actually ultimately in charge of your distinct life journey is yourself, consciousness. And so even what seems sometimes daunting, challenging, horrible can lead to an intense seeking momentum, or can lead to something that isn't the normal trajectory of everyone's lives. It leads to something else. So be very mindful not to think necessarily in these terms. I must have such bad karma because of how I see my life, or what I perceive as the quality of my life. Maybe you have incredibly good karma because stuff is not working out for you, because what your soul deeply wishes for is to know itself, is the transcendental dimension of self, is something other. It's not otherworldly because it is also here, but it's just this deepest knowing of myself. So be very mindful of how the mind continuously, what the mind actually does, perceiving, judging, all of it is not what you essentially are, and also not what this life can can uh, can tell you about why you are experiencing what you're experiencing. Yeah, it's all pointing you. It's all pointing you back to what is actually the deeper interest, the more essential function you hold for consciousness, and this really deep investment that the soul actually has in this life for what it actually is. And then the third thing, the third factor that he mentions is obviously your lifespan and the diseases and the sicknesses. And again, it is also karmic. It is also all timed. Your life is timed. Doesn't mean you don't have free will. You don't have doership in ultimate, in its ultimate unveiling. But at every moment you do. You choose, you do things. And this affects also the sicknesses and the lifespan as such. Someone has a long lifespan, someone has a short lifespan, often also connected to dysfunction for consciousness and so, some form of being done or not being done, and also the kind of diseases and sicknesses that show up. And all of you that have had, no matter what kind of diseases, physical ailments that you've had, or, like very strong ailments that didn't allow you to do certain things in life. These are all catalytic and oftentimes also ways how to stop you. Stop the separate self, stop the relative self, stop the conditioning, stop the habitual living that is mostly based on the mind and what you've been conditioned, and then you have a certain way how you act, or how you work in life, or how life is, and you think that's how it should be for you, like a certain restlessness, for example, or a certain way how to approach work, or a certain way. And then these kind of things, they make you stop. They make you actually come back to being. And you're oftentimes forced to come back to stillness, forced to also witness those kind of patterns that emerge, forced to refocus your life's attention, your life's orientation, your life's your you these are all extreme chances also to come back to a deeper remembrance of why you are here. What is really your wish? What does the soul want? What is it about? And to reconnect to that, and to see also if these things are not happening, what if these karmic occurrences aren't happening. But oftentimes is more of a mechanism or an automatism that sets in, that projects your life in a distinct way, or that doesn't cut through certain conditioning, or certain ways of being, and points you back to what is this life essentially for. And again, all of you that are listening to my YouTube channel, or that are listening to my teachings, that are all pointing you back to its self-realization or self-recognition. You wouldn't be listening if this wasn't a deep urge of your soul to actually remember yourself. If this wasn't, if it's just about entertainment or just about experience, then it wouldn't draw you. And so sometimes experiences of life are meant to catalyze this. And at the same time, they are also a beautiful conglomerate also of you, of your distinct and unique path to knowing yourself, of your distinct basket of knowledge or of what you then want to emit in this life. So it's all relevant. Your birth, the quality of your life, what you experience, what comes your way, and your lifespan or your health. All these things are karmic because they come from this fundamental ignorance, this fundamental separate self that acts mostly on its behalf, on its own merit, and also to see also the perfection in it all, to point you back to your remembrance of what you are, and to usher in this deep commitment, not just the faith that you can realize the self and that this is possible for you. This at some point also is a huge part of it, and also, but also the commitment, like the focus, to become focused on knowing yourself. Become focused on what is not an experience. Become focused on your eternal nature. So that is the second sutra on karma. And I hope that this was helpful to you. Have a very nice day. Namaste.